And so we finally have a Treasury Secretary. It took a few weeks.
Right.
And so everyone around the world is excited and finally getting some clarity on U.S. policy, they hope. So what are the big things they want to learn from the new Treasury Secretary?
Well, clarity is a key word, and hopefully they'll get that. But as you mentioned, Germany and Japan are early, questioners of what this secretary is going to do about the policies that Trump has put forth. So one thing that kind of rattled them a bit is his commentary around financial regulation, talking about kind of rolling back some of those post-Great Recession era regulations. Germany, especially, kind of pushing back on that. Finance Minister Schäuble saying, let's be careful about this. Let's not kind of scrap the playbook so soon. And Japan, of course, pushing back a little bit on the implication that they have a weaker yen. So, that wasn't very satisfying to them. And, this all kind of gets back to a lot of talk lately on the dollar and what might become of the Trump administration's policy around the strong dollar.
Well, and there, too, it seems like clarity is the issue, right? Because we've sort of heard commentary on both sides, stronger dollar, weaker dollar, what's best for the U.S.
Right.
So
Right.
Are these foreign leaders pushing for that clarity specifically on the dollar policy?
Well, I think that's the implication. I mean, no one wants to weigh in too deep, too early on currency manipulation conversations or currency conversations in general. This issue is just a minefield. And even though the Treasury Secretary traditionally is the face of that sort of policy, at least in the U.S., this is something that Secretary Mnuchin has been kind of advised from people abroad to kind of weigh carefully. And he's been asked, of course, by those on the Hill during his confirmation hearings and others, what is the policy? Is there any sort of departure from what the longstanding U.S. policy is of pushing for a stronger dollar, but also kind of being careful about how that's worded and being reluctant to weigh in too frequently? Of course, this is something that can rattle global markets. And what we saw after we published a story about Secretary Mnuchin's response to a question on the Hill about the strong dollar, where he talked about the short-term negative implications of that, was a sinking of the dollar to a 6-week low. So there was really kind of a good illustration of what could happen when you kind of rattle the markets too easily with talk of the dollar or not talk of a strong dollar.